This was really looking at the idea of when you treat somebody with a drug to show that you're actually inhibiting the target, in this case EGFR, and modulating downstream signaling pathways. So this was a study, a sub-study of the phase 1 clinical trial, where patients were biopsied at baseline, which everyone was required to do for the trial, and then at day 15 of the trial. What was interesting learning from this was that in a significant proportion of patients, when you actually went to biopsy them at day 15, there was no tumor left, or not a sufficient amount of tumor cells left to actually be able to do the analyses. However, in a subset of patients where that was possible, there was a biomarker modulation, meaning that you can show that pre-treatment there was phospho-EGFR present. That went down with a drug treatment, which is expected. Downstream signaling went down. PD-L1 expression went down, and there was a corresponding increase in immune cell infiltrates. So the biology of what was happening in the patients was what we had predicted from the preclinical models, that the biomarker modulation would be seen there. However, the most interesting part, or one of the more interesting parts of this was, as I mentioned, the fact that in a significant portion of patients, you could not do this because they had such dramatic tumor responses. The protocol was amended to allow the biopsies to happen a little bit earlier, but even with that, the numbers were still a fair number of patients did not have evaluable tissue. If you looked at then the patients who were able to have biomarker analyses compared to the patients who didn't because they had such dramatic responses, the response rate was actually higher in those patients in whom you could not do the biomarker analysis compared to the ones who you could. And again, I think it's an interesting biologic insight to say that if, is the fact that there's residual tumor at a certain time point, could that be a marker of a less durable benefit? We don't know that yet, but it's an interesting hypothesis that comes out of this study.